Welcome, everybody. It's an honor to have you here. Got two of my favorite human beings on planet Earth with me, Dr. Beth McDougall and David Reed. And today we are going to share with you a dharmic passion, something that we've all been working on for many years. Well, David and Beth a lot longer than I, but I've definitely got bit by the bug and fallen in love with this project, Manna. And so it's an honor to have you here, David and Beth. Hi.
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 Thanks for having us.
So today we're going to kind of deep dive a little bit on Manna and what it is and how did it come to be. And yeah, we're just really excited to share this with the world. So maybe we will start with you, David. David, do you want to share a little bit about, well, what is Manna?
So manna itself it's an ancient Hebrew word that means what is it? It's mentioned in the Bible. There's an Egyptian equivalent called mufkat, which refers to a substance that the ancient Egyptians used and was known as food for the gods. A lot of the pharaohs and high priests were producing a white powder from either Dead Sea minerals or pure gold and consuming that to elevate their consciousness. Now, the manna that we have produced is a combination of ormus, which is the white powder gold, either made from ocean plasma or pure gold, and shilajit, which is a black resin that oozes out of the Himalayan mountains and other high altitude mountains on the planet during the summer months. So as far as I know, we're the first people to actually combine these two sacred nutrients and information that has profound benefits on the biological system and our health and connection, which we can go into more during this chat.
That's a good segue, actually. My mom was asking me, she's like, well, what does this actually do? And I was like, oh my God, I had to list off 100 things that it does. And she's like, all of this stuff, it does all of that? And I'm like, yes, because of what it is. I mean, Beth, do you want to share a little bit about what effect does the manna have on the physiology?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, the shilajit has been shown, well, it was known as the destroyer of weakness. And it was known as a substance in Ayurvedic medicine to promote longevity and strength and virility and just sound mind. and now in the current day, there's a lot of scientific research going on to validate, that's actually validating those kind of traditional observations with it. And so it's been known to be incredibly beneficial for the mind, for one. So it's been shown to improve memory and scoring on tests and retention, ability to solve problems. Those things have been tested. And then it's been actually shown to have beneficial effects on our mitochondria. And that's actually one of the most important fundamental aspects of our cellular health and then the health of our bodies. If we can, mitochondria are known as little energy factories in the cells. And if we can strengthen their ability to produce energy, we're going to have healthier cells and less risk for disease and better minds and sounder bodies. And we're going to age in a much better way. So it's been shown to be good for improving hormone balance. It's been shown to be good for improving strength, muscle strength. It's been shown to induce collagen production in the skin. And there's been phenomenal tests on humans with that, where they've actually subjected themselves to skin biopsies and looked at the stem cells in our skin and the genes that they're expressing and how much collagen they're producing. It's been shown to be good for muscles, tendons, bone, great for osteoporosis. So, I mean, like your mom was saying, like it does all that, but it does all that. And the science is now really proving it.
I mean, David was educating me about it. He's, you think about it, all food really is water, minerals, and light, right?
Yeah.
And for all of our biological functioning, of course we know we're 78% water, but when we cut ourselves open, it's not like water comes out, it's water filled with minerals. And those minerals, obviously have to be in the exact right proportion and balance for optimal functioning, right? The right amount of magnesium to the right amount of potassium to the right amount of sodium. And so, but we can't really, I guess it's because of how we're factory farming and where those minerals are located in nature. It's in the soil, right? And plants are uptaking that and we're eating that food. But if that isn't in the soils, well, we're not really getting it anymore. And we're depleted by these, we need these minerals and we're sort of yearning for them. And then, we know that. So then we supplement with like, going to our health food store and getting some extra magnesium or, like whatever it is that we feel like we're lacking. But I never realized this until you shared it with me, Beth, that most of the things that are the vitamins that we're getting, they're synthetic. And so even the healthiest ones, and so our bodies actually don't really know what to do with it, whether to store it or whether to excrete it. But the truth is we're not absorbing all that, we're in need of those minerals, we're not absorbing it.
Right.
So what to do? And
yeah. And David can speak to this too, but I think it's just absolutely vital that we're taking minerals and these trace minerals and even electrolytes in their most absorbable form and in the proper ratios. And that's what you get when you take the shilajit, which has got fulvic acid. And really, fulvic acids are produced by bacteria in the soil, feeding, like actually digesting the rocks and the minerals in, the hard substances in the soil. So the bacteria are making these substances available to us. And unfortunately, with our factory farming and our use of herbicides and pesticides and things, we're really sterilizing the soil. And so the amount of the content of fulvic acids in the soil has dropped dramatically.
Yeah, and the content of the minerals, whether it be those macro minerals or the trace minerals. So I think current studies are showing that a lot of our food only has about 20% of the minerals that it used to have, which means our bodies, the fluids in our bodies, whether it's our blood plasma or the interstitial fluid or our intercellular fluid, is starving. Okay, it might be getting enough structured or spring water, but it's not getting all of those minerals, all of that nutrition. So part of the journey and search for me was really going back to first principles. And I spent time with Nassim Haramein in 2011 and 2012, kind of looking at the first principles of cosmology and quantum physics and the unified field theory, and how the different fundamental patterns of creation form the different scales or dimensions of this material existence. And that sent me on a bit of a journey to discover the first principles of food and nutrition. And that's why I'm so passionate about this product, is what I found is that first principles of food and nutrition really is these electrolytes and these minerals that used to be in our soil and our foods, but aren't there anymore. And every other food, or even all of life itself, is made up of, as you said earlier, Adele, light, water, and minerals. So if we can give our body structured or purified or spring water, and then we're also giving it full spectrum macro and trace minerals, then our biological system is intelligent enough to take what it needs and produce all of those other components, whether it's fats, sugars, proteins, whatever it might be. So within Manna, not only do we have full spectrum macro and trace minerals, but through the shilajit, we also have full spectrum amino acids. We have fulvic acid, which we just touched on, which is incredible. The concentration of fulvic acid that we have is over 40% in our shilajit, which is the highest on the planet, because it comes from an altitude above 16,000 feet. And fulvic acid is amazing for many things, but one of the great things it does, which is like a perfect marriage within our manna, is it attracts those electrolytes and trace minerals and then transports them through the body, which helps with that absorption as well. So we're giving the body full spectrum minerals, and then we're also adding monoatomic minerals. which we can talk about more as well. So that's why I see this supplement as literally the greatest scientific discovery of our time from a first principles nutrition and food perspective, because it's the source of all other food and actually the source of life itself. It's the source of everything.
Yeah, I think about each of the individual components as having its unique vibratory signature, and it's like this concert of all of these notes, playing in perfect harmony in this product. And when we're replenishing the minerals in our bodies and the trace minerals and all of these other elements, it's almost like it allows us to receive a broader band of information, to receive and transmit. And that's how it feels subjectively to take this. Like I got so excited about this product when David turned me on to the Shilajit that he had sourced. And when I would take it, it just turned the lights on. It just felt like information could travel more readily within my body, and that my brain was just capable of receiving more and then transmitting more. So it's the one product in my life where I can feel it every time I take it. It's like my body, every single day that I take it, I feel it within moments, and it just makes me feel vital.
And I love that you explained that each of those different elements, whether it's the magnesium or potassium, have their own note.
Yeah.
And we know that we're, as a being, we're actually singing a song.
Totally.
So if we have access to all of those different notes, and I've explained it before, it's like the keys of a piano. The ormus is providing the white keys. The Shilajit is providing the black keys. So when we put them together, we have access to all of those different notes. We can play the greatest song, like we can play our divine song. We can connect to our Dharma. Our health, our antenna can be vitalized and tuned in. So turned on and tuned in, which is one of the really exciting things with the Manna that we have. And, once we discovered that Shilajit and ormus were these two incredible substances, then it was a matter of going on the journey to find the best Shilajit and ormus that we could on the planet. So our source solutions, the Shilajit from over 16,000 feet. Our latest lab result showed the fulvic acid content is 88%. Most Shilajits are between 7 and 18. We have full spectrum amino acids. We don't even have full spectrum amino acids in steak or chicken or fish. And as I said, then from a plant-based perspective, the Shilajit has, 88 plant-based minerals. The ormus has 118 minerals or atomic structures. So the combination of the two, the best plant-based minerals and vitamins with the best sea-based minerals and vitamins, just makes it a really highly concentrated, potent product for us. Yeah.
I want to jump into something a little more esoteric with all this. As we begin to understand this, the ancients knew this. And when you look at the culture that built up in the Holy Land around King Solomon and the Essenes, and, the culture that, built up in Egypt, at various temple complexes, they indeed found at the Temple of Hathor, right, a large amount of the substance, I think like a foot of it or something like that, underneath the Temple of Hathor. And when they studied the constituents of it, they were like, oh, these are the minerals from the Dead Sea. But the Dead Sea's a little ways away. What were they like? Why the Dead Sea? What's so interesting about that? Why, David, would you give us a little deep dive on what the ancient cultures were doing, why they were drawing upon this, and what part, it's a very bold thing to say the manna, right? The food of the gods. And it was discussed in the Bible and in the Quran. But this is actually really, truly the manna, isn't it? Like, it's not just a brand, which is huge, right? So could you share a little bit about, well, your journey in Egypt and what you discovered, maybe your journey with Ormus? Like, I can think a lot of the people watching may have, encountered Shilajit before. It's kind of pretty popular in the biohacking community. It's not very palatable all the time, and Shilajit has gone through a really profound alchemy where it's delicious.
Yeah.
But Ormus, not everybody knows. Ormus is wrapped in so much mystery, alchemical mystery. Could you share a little bit about your journey with that and what you discovered?
Yeah, absolutely. And Ormus is it's a word that's tossed around a lot, and to be honest, 99% of people produce Ormus from ocean water and a chemical that's quite a dirty chemical called sodium hydroxide, or NaOH. From my journey through Egypt and meeting a gentleman in particular called Goda, Goda, whose family has been guardian of the Sphinx for thousands of years, he took me under the Sphinx and then gave me an ancient recipe on 3 different ways to produce what they call mufkat, which is equivalent to manna. And one of those ways was from Dead Sea water, and another way was from gold itself. I produced it those 2 ways. From gold, it felt quite exclusive, and obviously is a very expensive way to do it. But from Dead Sea water, it's incredibly abundant. And the Essenes who were living in Qumran and Engedi at the Dead Sea back around 35 BC, and even Cleopatra, who was visiting that particular area at that particular time, she was potentially playing around with these Ormus elements as well. So yeah, it has got a lot of history. It seems to represent itself at very specific times in specific cycles to help us as a bridge through a transition into a more harmonious and resonant, connected humanity.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you say it presents at certain times, is that a time when a society, like when a global society or a smaller society needs an evolution in their consciousness? Is that what you're saying?
It appears to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it appears to be going from a more separated, dense culture and frequency, where we're eating meats and I guess have a conditioning of separation, competition, to a more harmonious way of being, where our diets become lighter, they become more liquid-based and plant-based. And during that consciousness shift, we start to understand the truth of who we are and the connection between all things, which ties back into the resonance science and the unified field theory.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, Beth, I remember you shared with me that when we really look at disease, according to Dr. Robert Young, disease comes from when the interstitial fluid loses its salts and minerals, right? Which makes sense in a certain way. If this is somehow part of the communication highway, right, within the body, all the different minerals, and those, you could say, like, I don't know if communication pathway is the right terminology, but I have to confess, I was watching in my family. It's been a harrowing experience watching certain members of my family that I love dearly coming to the end of their life, and watching them sort of lose their vitality. And I realized sort of the diet that they've been engaged in is like their favorite foods, like wheat and curries and delicious things that they just really dig on. But I won't go into too great detail, but one of my family members was suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia, and I know her diet it was not the greatest, and it really hit home that it's like, wow, she's lost touch with all those ionic and trace minerals and all the things that she would need for optimal cellular functioning across all of her organ systems, right? And so at first it was sort of a slowness in her thoughts that kind of then became sort of a confusion. And over the course of time, it was like the inability to complete a thought, and sort of trail off. And we began to see the slow onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. We were, our family got together. We were really saddened by it, and especially her children. Like, we're really like, what can you do? They feel so devastated. And she would come over with my family, and I remember reading this white paper on its neuroregenerative effects, and specifically a study done on Alzheimer's and early onset of dementia. And I just asked her to try the Manna, and we all tried it together. I might have given her a double dose or a triple. I might have given her a triple dose. Okay, that's fine. And we took it, and it probably took about 5 minutes, and I saw the light come on in her eyes. We all did. And she's like, I actually like this. This is actually quite good. What is this exactly again? And I explained it to her. And at a certain point, her sister looked over at me like wide-eyed, like, you're having a full-blown coherent conversation with somebody with Alzheimer's. Are you aware of that? Like, that was what she was saying. And we all kind of like, were like, let's not disturb this magic. We just kept talking and discussing it, shared with her what Manna was about. She got super curious. And it was almost, immediate that she was, I can't even describe it. She was having full-blown normal conversations as if she didn't have Alzheimer's, but we all knew that she did. And it was really interesting. And her family's been taking it. I understand that it's sort of cumulative. Like, as cumulatively you lose the minerals. Okay, it's not in the soil, it's not in our foods. We can't supplement it really appropriately at our health food stores. What happens when that happens systemically over 10, 20, 50 years?
There's so much going on here. If you want to get into the science of it, it's my favorite topic. But
dude, tell me, what happened
so
there?
Much. To break it down, number one, you have these minerals and trace minerals and electrolytes in their readily absorbable form. So you're absorbing them into the cell, let's say the neurons, for example. And you mentioned that we're 78% water. Well, we're really 99% water by number of molecules in the body. And one of the things that happens as we age is that we literally dehydrate. Our cells shrivel, our skin shrivels, like our intervertebral disc shrivel, our bones become more dry and brittle, like everything kind of dehydrates. And so when you have the introduction of more minerals, trace minerals, and electrolytes, that go into the cell, it actually attracts more water into the cells. And the combination of the minerals, electrolytes, and the water creates like an electrical charge. So we call it the cell membrane potential. And that is absolutely vital for cell functioning. And you think about it with the neurons, like that cell membrane potential is what regulates the firing and kind of like the coordinated action of the neurons and how one neuron can like talk to another neuron. So it's absolutely essential. And then the other part of it is the way this product benefits the mitochondria. So the mitochondria, makes the energy that then like kind of fuels the pumps that keep the minerals within the cell. So you need that kind of trifecta of minerals, water, healthy functioning mitochondria in order to have a healthy cell. And like in the case of your relative there, it can happen, it can kind of start correcting itself very quickly. And when the mitochondria are working properly, it's going to influence the pH of the intracellular environment. So the intracellular environment is going to be more alkaline, which influences protein folding and all of that. And so one of the problems with Alzheimer's is, these kind of malfolded protein aggregates that aggregate in the neuron, and even outside of the neurons so that you get the amyloid plaque and neurofibrillary tangles, which are kind of these types of pathologies that you see on autopsy in brains of people that have Alzheimer's. Well, it's really from malfolded proteins. That has a lot to do with pH in the cell, and also the kind of like the overall energy that allows water to assemble properly around the proteins and kind of encourage them into the proper configuration. So it's a lot of science to say that this we can prevent these kind of problems, and we can even do a lot to reverse them if we supply the body with what it needs to function optimally.
And I love that the science that you're discovering now, Dr. Beth, is really proving what the ancients have talked about for hundreds, if not thousands of years. You know, even in books like Mineralogy or the Canon of Medicine from the East. Manna is also mentioned in the Bible and in the Quran. And now we're actually able to, through the clinical studies, I guess, show a lot of these benefits and incredible results that we're having through the scientific discoveries, which is incredible. The other thing with the fluids that I find, especially the blood and the interstitium and the intercellular fluid, is we know we're 99.9% fluid by molecular count, as Dr. Beth said. But I think something that's often missed, is that we're not just fluid as in H2O, but we're salt water. So all the water in the body is salt water. And when I say salt water, I don't just mean NaOH as in sodium chloride, but salt water as in mineralized water. So magnesium, potassium, sulfur, or your chlorides, and then all of those other trace minerals. And I think we often forget that. So we're not getting those out of our food anymore. So be able to provide millions of these atomic structures of all the different 118 that we find on the periodic table, and almost have this inception point of where atoms then go on to become organic matter, molecules and cells. At that point of the atomic structures, at that inception point, that layer of the scale of reality, we're giving the body access to all of those 118 atomic structures, or again, first principles of food nutrition. So that's what's really exciting for me, understanding the resonant science physics and that there's no isolated systems. We're actually able to give the body access to full spectrum. And so we're not putting it out of balance or out of harmony, but allowing it to come back into balance to optimize our health and also our connection. When I say our connection, really referring to our higher dimensional template, or as what Dr. Beth would call it, and her new incredible book is all about, which is your pristine blueprint, which is, I'll let Beth maybe explain what the pristine blueprint is, but it's one of my favorite books that I've got it here with me, and just absolutely love it, because it's really talking about our most important asset, our health, but also that connection to that template, which is really profound new science that Dr. Beth is gracing the planet with at the moment.
Aww. Thank you so much, David. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just really that kind of grounded in the concept that we all are part of and emerge from this one grand thing, the unified field, which now, thanks to Nassim Haramein, we're having greater, and many other physicists, we're starting to understand it so much better. But we're all part of this one grand thing. We literally emerge as a unique manifestation from this field. So that was one concept that really influenced my thinking. And then another one that was pivotal for me was when I learned that matter is not static, but it's literally flickering in and out of existence, trillions of times a second. And that includes all matter and, our multicellular physical body. So how is it that something as complex as a human being with 37 trillion cells and billions of chemical reactions happening in every cell, every second in a coordinated manner. Like how is that possibly flickering in and out of existence every trillionth of a second and kind of reforming into this complex multicellular being? And it's because we have a blueprint that's existing on the quantum level and really dictating kind of these vibratory patterns that kind of manifest into our physical form. And so, yes, I think that for the best possible resonance, like our health, the degree of our health depends on the degree of resonance with our orchestrating blueprint, which provides kind of like the operating instructions for our physical form. And our degree of resonance is really enhanced by a product like Manna, which has all of the elements that our body needs, and by drinking enough water, clean, structured water.
Yeah, one of the things I see with that, Dr. Beth, is I see us as antennas, almost crystalline antennas that can oscillate with the field and our Preston blueprint. And so as we're getting enough minerals, which is really, especially the electrolytes, they're really salt crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's enhancing our crystalline nature, which is making that antenna, that connection with the field stronger. And from my experience, when we're connected with our pristine blueprint, not only does our health improve, but it's like we align with our Dharma. It's like we become inspired again. We get new ideas. And, I hear so many people say, I can feel there's something there, but I'm just not quite there. A lot of people at the moment have been struggling mentally or physically, and they just feel slightly off.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Manna and realigning that crystalline structure, getting that connection back with our pristine blueprint and removing a lot of those interference patterns, then one of the most exciting thing for me is they will connect back with their Dharma and their purpose, which brings in inspiration and makes life that beautiful, magical miracle again. That is just a joy to be here. And I see all the cells in the body with like smiley faces at that point.
Right? Yeah.
That's the experience though, isn't it? When you take it, it's like the first experience is sort of this, it's a bit of an exhilaration as and as it kind of caps out, there's this like cellular relaxation thing that happens where you're like, oh, this feels so good. I don't even know what kind of good this is, but it's like, I felt like a warm buzz. And I look forward to it every morning. Like, I'm like, my body's just like, I do it before anything else, but it's like a strange thing. The more I do the Manna, the less I almost want to have gross food because it slows me down compared to like, my body just goes into this vital thing. It's so sexy and good. Like I understand what they mean by like they utilize Shilajit in India really to increase your libido. There's some really funny commercials. Have you ever watched?
Oh my God, I've seen some of those. There's some in the Middle East too that are hilarious.
And it's kind of a thing, right? You kind of don't feel like you gotta kind of feel like everything's working to feel like right?
Mojo. Yeah.
You get your mojo, but it really does turn your mojo on it's a wonderful feeling. It's just such a wonderful it's not like a coffee, like it's not like a stimulant per se, but it's just like, oh yeah, I don't know, my body like looks forward to it every morning, and I take it and I just like just relax, and it's so good. But it's hard. It's like the only thing that's challenging a little bit is when you kind of come off and you're like, I need to get back on it. So it's I don't know. I'm so in love with it. David and Beth, thank you guys so much for making this a reality for people, for helping steward this. It's such a gift. It is honestly such a gift. It's been such a gift in my life, and I mean very viscerally in like my family members. Like I've watched miraculous things, and it's hard to unsee that. Mm-hmm. It's hard for my family that's not really into any of this kind of stuff to unsee that. They're just like, yeah. So that it's been a blessing from God. It feels like all the way around, and I oftentimes wonder if maybe partially why we're having such systemic, issues with anxiety and depression and suicide amongst our generation, the generation beneath us, like the millennials, is like, maybe it's just that we don't have everything we need. And then we're expressing it and playing it out in such weird ways, you know, to get that something we need, or whatever it is. Maybe so we feel like we need energy, or we think that energy is attention, or whatever. Is it playing out like that? Anyways, it's just like, I want to get monetized.
It's incredibly elemental, right? So think about Shilajit. It's been produced by the earth and the sun as well. We're bringing it out of the mountaintops in summertime. It goes through that like a natural alchemical process developed by the sun, by the earth, by the minerals. And the Dead Sea solution is the same. It's really produced by the sun and the sea, and that process that's been going on for thousands of years. So it really is a joy and a privilege to be stewards for something that has been, again, going back to those first principles, the elements have really been refining and distilling these substances for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years. And it's amazing how it does affect everybody quite differently, from, you know, energy to like performance athletes notice more endurance. People notice huge increases in libido, which again brings that inspiration. And from there, we can go on to do incredible things. To fertility, we've had people that have taken the substance that haven't been able to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then they've fallen pregnant within a month or two after.
Yeah, the data, the scientific studies on that are incredible. Like male sperm counts go up.
Yeah. And then the resilience for this body during this time is really powerful as well. We've got a clinical study on its antiviral properties. So there's a lot packed within these tiny little sachets that we're producing. I might actually just show you guys how it comes. We've got a pack of 30 of these sachets. So one of the challenges that we've had is, because it is so concentrated and we're providing such a generous dose in each of these sachets, there's 1,000 milligrams of Shilajit, which is a very high dose. And there's also 1,000 milligrams of ormus. And one of the challenges with Shilajit is it's a resin. So if it's exposed to air, it will go hard. So we wanted to go the extra mile and put it in these beautiful single dose sachets that are about the size of a credit card. And you just snap them into a glass. You'll see the product come out. And because of the design of the card, one of the sides of this sachet is hard, the other's like a pillow. So it actually means that 99% of that product will actually come out. At the moment, these sachets are recyclable. We have a pipeline to get these compostable, so we'll be able to throw them straight in the garden. And it's an incredible fertilizer for plants, as well as trace amounts that are left in there.
I remember that point in the journey here when we were working on that and found that V-shapes. That was such a high point, because we were like, you know, I was just really wanting it to stay as a liquid substance for people, because, you know, a lot of Shilajit is dried and in tablets or in put in a capsule, but it's dry and hard. And I just didn't think the bioavailability would be so good. And then David, how did you find that manufacturer in Italy? How'd you find Christian?
You know what? It was actually just at a Saturday night. I was Googling single dose packaging and saw a picture of that under Google Images. And that's how it started.
That was such a moment, because we knew then we could keep it the way we wanted it and make it bioavailable and easy to take. And the other problem with the way Shilajit is often, you know, sold is that it's in a jar and then it has like the threads, and it would just dry like cement. So I'd be late for work in the morning and I'd be like, oh, I want to take before I go. And I'd be like, oh, I can't get the jar open, putting it under hot water. And then I'd finally be like, I have to go. I can't do it. But now it's my every morning ritual. And I'm actually way into intermittent fasting now too. And so I'll just do that in the morning. I also do a little coffee, but I do that. And that holds me all the way to lunch, and just, I can think so clearly with patience. I'm just literally like a razor in the morning with that.
That's
it's
awesome.
The same experience for me. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's such a gift. Do you guys want to take a quick? Can I share the video that we made? We tried our best to create something that's like deserving of how beautiful the product is.
And just before you do that, just one of the other things with the actual alchemy of the product is, because it's such a generous dose, 1,000 milligrams of Shilajit and 1,000 milligrams of Dead Sea Ormus. So both of these, because the Shilajit is from above 16,000 feet and the Ormus is from the Dead Sea, the concentration of minerals within these two substances is so intense. Mm-hmm. So the flavor of these two substances on their own is almost unbearable. Like if you were to put one drop of the Ormus on your tongue, you'd probably never, ever do it again. And there's 20 drops in there. So one of the challenges for us has been able to make it palatable. And that's something we've spent the last several years on. And we've actually got a solution now where when you add this to water, it's delicious. So
it's delicious. I know, that was just
no way you can take it on its own without that. So,
yeah.
So good.
My dad won't touch Shilajit at all. Like, he's just like and he's in love with it. It's for those of you that had Shilajit, you know what we're talking about. Like that tar flavor with a little fecal note. It's a little much, right?
I know, like Reza just would not take it, and he'll take our product. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Some kind of alchemy happens. It's even worse when you try to cover up the flavor. Like I find putting Shilajit in a juice makes it just worse for me, But, David, I guess you figured out how they were alchemically embedding this Shilajit in Chyawanprash and in these, how they were doing it in the ancient Ayurveda. And you found actually the herbs that have this resonant relationship with Shilajit, and this alchemy happens, and it not only just tastes okay, it tastes good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's incredible. Good job.
Congratulations, you guys. Like, I just like, Beth, no joke, okay? You were like, if there's only one supplement in the world I take, just one. And why?
It's literally the source of all other supplements, right? Like all other food and supplements, the main thing that we're after is what's in the manna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
Let's see the video you wanted to show.
Let me share a little bit of this with you guys, because I know everybody's watching this. They're like, yeah, you had me at minerals, and they're like, just where do I get it? So where you get it is at mannavitality.com. And I encourage you to watch the video and dig into it a little bit. We kind of go into detail. You guys wouldn't be interested in this part. Probably not interested in this part at all. It's just fine. It's fine. You want to talk more about the immunity defense. I get it. Vitality and longevity. Maybe don't. But yeah, I get off on the brain performance. It really is a nootropic. It really is.
It really is.
And you can feel it. It's tangible. It's cumulative. Like I'm like, man, my memory's a lot sharper.
Yeah.
And this is sort of the breakdown of what's happening in here. And you can go in and dig deeper and learn more about M-state elements and why they work and what's going on. And it's a pretty comprehensive, interesting site. I encourage you to dig into David's story and just get into what's really going on here. This isn't just any Shilajit. For all you spiritual geeks, this is Shilajit from Mount Kailash.
Yeah.
It's spiritualized matter. People for thousands and thousands of years have been circumambulating Mount Kailash. Literally it's the abode of Shiva. So it means, I wonder if having all these people pilgrimage there, that it is done something through the mountain, done something to the Shilajit in the mountain, but it's just it's monumental, really, what you've pulled off. And we really look forward to you digging into it and learning about it. And I think you're going to really like it. So let me show you the video for a sec.
Have you ever wondered, as I have, what is the secret to health and well-being? We live in an age of technology and innovation, and yet we are less connected than ever before. To ourselves, to each other, to the universe. But what we really need is all around us. In the ocean, the mountains, the earth. Nature provides us with a limitless source of nutrients, energy, and connection. From the ocean we receive ormus, sometimes called the philosopher's stone or the elixir of life. Since ancient Egyptian times, alchemists have worked in secret to produce ormus using sea minerals. Seawater is proven to have healing properties and is filled with minerals that are necessary for the human body to thrive. From the mountains we receive shilajit, found mainly in the Himalayas, Mongolia, and Siberia. It has been used in ancient practices of Eastern European holistic and Ayurvedic medicine for over 5,000 years to help maintain strong health and equilibrium in the body. Shilajit and ormus, one comes from the sea, one from the mountains. Shilajit is from the highest place on earth, and our ormus is from the lowest place on earth. One is black, one is white. Yin and yang, both are forms of Manna. When you combine the most concentrated nutrients from the ocean and the mountains, the sun and the sea, what emerges is a source of energy and vitality so powerful you can feel the elements working their magic on an intracellular level, replenishing you with light, minerals and water, rejuvenating you, helping restore your health, your ability to connect, and your overall well-being, and giving you the mental clarity and power to make the most of your time on this earth. At the most fundamental layer of our beings, we are one and the same with all of the nature that surrounds us. We are all part of a united field of existence. We emerge from it, and when our time is over, we return to it. Don't be an isolated system. Give your body everything it needs. Health, vitality, and resilience. And most importantly, coherence with yourself and with nature.
I love that. It's so beautiful.
All of it, isn't it? What a blessing.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we come to the end of our time together, I think. And is there anything else you want to share, Beth and David? It's been such an honor to spend this time with you.
Well, it's been such a pleasure. And I just want to thank you, Adil, for just your contribution to this project and helping with the website and just the vision and getting it out to the world. So it's really been this lovely partnership.
Yeah, thanks to the elements as well, the sun and the water and the earth. It's they've been my teachers over the last decade, and just feel very blessed and fortunate that we can be ambassadors for these two sacred substances, nutrients and information. And yeah, thanks, Dr. Beth, for all of your support and love and kindness and scientific contribution to these elements that's just so profound to me. And Adil for years of sharing and back and forth with the somas and the shilajit and the Eastern and Western information and ancient civilization culture information. So I love you both. And yeah, thanks for an incredible journey.
Love you guys.
I love you so much. Mutual. Thank you again.